Clap for yourself for coming out. Thank you so much for coming. So before we get started, I want to pay the bills and also send some big shout outs and thank you. So this is our second of 2 events here at the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. So thank you to all their staff for supporting us and hosting us and allowing us to have our events here. I want to thank Dominion Energy for sponsoring tonight's event and the previous event we had back in March. A very important shout out to our community partners, the Asian American Society of Central Virginia and the Virginia Asian Chamber of Commerce for supporting it. Doing events like this is very important to have the support of the community and the people who are actually represented. Representation matters. That's a huge part of the reason why we're doing an event like this. So super thankful for their support. Again, hopefully you had a chance to check out some food from Mama Vicky's outside. And I want to give a shout out to our DJ, Just Royal. Did a great job keeping you guys entertained. And last but not least, want to shout out my man Chase, who is the one who provided the items you see on display here. They're memorabilia from his own collection of just hip-hop, Virginia-themed items. So thankful for Chase for showing that. That's important to us because if you are new to learning about the foundation, our ultimate goal is to host and to build a Virginia hip-hop themed exhibit. So we want to make sure as we do events like this that we can incorporate many exhibits that kind of showcase some of the things that we would hopefully have in a bigger exhibit later. All right, everybody good? Everybody all right? Thank y'all for coming again. Excited for our convo today. When we talk about the work that we want to do with the foundation, showing the diversity and the breadth of the impact and influence that all different types of people have had through hip hop is very important to our mission. So when we first started meeting with the Virginia Museum of History and Culture about ways that we could partner on programming, they told us about their exhibit that they have that's just started in March, We the People, which focuses on the story of immigration here in Virginia. And so immediately that was a light bulb for us because the story of immigration in Virginia is very much connected to the story of hip hop in Virginia. And so we're talking a little bit about that tonight. And so let's get started with our first guest from the Northern Virginia area, born in the Philippines, raised in Woodbridge. Mundane is an artist whose music touches on his experiences navigating cultures in the DMV area. So please welcome Mundane to the stage. And then next up for our first panel, actually born in Oakland, MG is a hip-hop artist and entrepreneur who draws his inspiration from his Chinese and African-American heritage. His confident raps are powered by his resilience, and he's making moves in Virginia and other parts of the East Coast. So please welcome a current Richmond native, even though he's from Oakland, but he's a Richmond guy now. We're claiming him. Welcome, MG. All right, so to start the conversation, I think it's really important for us to get to know you guys a little bit more. So we'll start with you, MG, but you both can answer the question. But just talk about what brought your family to America, and then specifically, how did you get and your family get to Virginia?
It's a great question. First and foremost, I want to thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all to the Virginia Hip Hop Foundation. Great to see everybody in the crowd. So it's funny. So as y'all can tell, I'm black and Chinese, and so I had to call my grandmother this morning to remind me of the full story about how we got here. And so as she tells it, and for some reason, the story always gets a little bit more spicy every single time. And so I got more, I guess, breadcrumbs. But my gong gong and my pawpaw, my grandmother's grandparents, right? So that's my great-great-grandparents. They were born in China, and they moved here originally to New York, moved to New Jersey. And they made their way slowly from the East Coast to San Francisco, which is where I was actually born. I'm fourth generation San Franciscan. They would stop in different places along the way on their journey to California. So I have a grandmother named my grandmother's name is Bonita because she was born in San Francisco, and so they kind of named her based upon the places where they landed at, right? I have another auntie named Ginger, short for Virginia because she was born in Virginia. I have another auntie named Beulah because it was a Midwestern name that was popular. I'm not sure how these names were derived, but it's an interesting story about how they got to the American shores, and then they were some of the first inhabitants in San Francisco's Chinatown, which I think is the largest, or maybe one of the largest Chinatowns in America. They were some of the early inhabitants of that Chinatown. The funny part is that my black family moved from Louisiana to Oakland 4 generations ago, and then my Chinese family moved to San Francisco 4 generations ago, but they didn't connect until 2 generations ago. So it's funny, my family was living side by side each other in San Francisco for almost 2 generations before we made the black and Chinese mesh.
So just real quick, we'll talk about your personal journey to Virginia. We have to give a shout out to the illustrious Hampton University.
Yeah. Shout out to Hampton University. That's where I graduated from. Came all the way from San Francisco, Oakland to come out here and play football. So, Thorne, thanks for making sure I did that.
Yeah, I had to do that. As a fellow Hampton alum, my mom, who is class of, I won't say that, but she's in the audience and she's very important to the foundation, so we had to talk about that too.
Thanks for keeping me honest.
All right, Mundane, go ahead. You got the floor.
What's up, guys? My name is Mundane. Where do I start? So I came here in 2003 from the Philippines because my grandfather, he was actually a naval attaché for the Philippine military, and he got stationed over in D.C. at the Philippine embassy. So, with that, he brought over his family over, my mom, my uncle, and me, and my grandma. So we came over, stayed here until 2007, and it was time to go back to Philippines because he wanted me to, learn the culture, learn the language, and experience that, as a, little kid. And then my mom stayed here while she worked, and, I never saw her until I was in middle school again. So, once middle school came back, so it was like, I wasn't too foreign to each culture. I got a little taste of best of both worlds. So, yeah, I came here and, started making music.
So I'll let both of you answer this question. How does your Asian American heritage, or specifically your Asian heritage, show up in your music and how you participate in hip hop culture?
Personally, since I speak the language, sometimes I'll try to incorporate Tagalog in my songs. Sometimes it's a little hard because I don't speak that fluent, but just giving a reference here and there, nice little nod. But I think stylistically, I would say I would attribute my style to the more, DC, Maryland, Virginia side of things. But it's always nice to give back little references.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I was thinking about it. I appreciate you sending the questions ahead. But no, I mean, I really wanted to think about it because I wanted to give you all a good answer. And I think the best way I can put it is that, I'm a West Coast cat. I'm 4 generations, both sides on the West Coast. So I'm a West Coast Asian. And when you think about my grandmother was listening to forbidden music in the early 50s and 60s, right, which was basically like funk. And she met my grandfather at the black parties where he was a DJ. And my grandfather actually produced and made songs for an artist named Carlos Santana. Maybe y'all have heard of him. So music runs deep in my family, and so the funk runs deep in me, right? So you hear a lot of that funk in my music, which a lot of the Asian Americans loved the music that we made, hip hop music as Black Americans. Also, there's another dope artist named Pilo, an artist and producer. You know what I'm saying? The Pilo, he's a producer from the Bay Area, from Richmond, and he helped coin one of the great sounds that we have in the Bay, which is kind of later hyphy movement, a little bit more bounce, don't, a lot of real ill-ass bass line, excuse my language, sorry for the, but that kind of plays a role in it too. And I might say one more thing. I think that my songs are very structured and they're very disciplined. And I was talking to my grandmother, I asked her about that, and she said that she thought when she listened to my music, she felt like she could catch the beat, and she felt that I had very structured songs, and she thought that was kind of, she thought maybe she handed that down to me. So.
Word. So now just thinking about the connection to Virginia, right? Both of your stories and being connected to Virginia is different, but now that you're in the hip hop space and being in Virginia, who are the people that kind of influenced you from Virginia, like that you looked at and said, "Oh, I like what they're doing," or like I want to try to do what they're doing? Like, who inspired you? Who are the artists and producers or musicians in general in Virginia that inspired you to want to do music and be in the culture?
Me not being from Virginia, I had to look at Virginia from across the nation, right? And so, of course, the Clips, all those names that you always hear, Clips, Pharrell, Missy, but shout out Mad Skills in the building, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's an artist that I found out about much later, but somebody that I dove deep and I was like, yo, this cat's ill. I'm happy. Whenever you find out about somebody, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's just as long as you find out about them. So that was dope. And another cat, man, Noah O, man, who I call one of my big homies. He's real inspiring and he keeps me honest. And, Virginia has got a very unique sound. I think some people say Virginia has no sound. I hate that people say that, because when I listen to those two cats that I just named, that is the sound of Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Whatever sound you make as a Virginian is the sound, right? And so, we can put that debate to rest. You dig what I'm saying? So that's kind of who've inspired me. Shout out some other cats, Pay to Play Rich in the building. Noah, I'm sorry to say Noah, Big No. Oh.
But just a quick follow-up question for you too. Like, coming from San Francisco, were you aware that those people were from Virginia? Like the people like Pharrell and Missy and them? Or did you just find that out when you got here?
Man, I'm going to keep it funky with you, man. When Chris Brown said, I'm a country boy from Tappahannock, VA is where I reside. I'm like, where the fuck is Tappahannock? The answer is no. I couldn't point this place out on a map, but don't let my limited project living style, you know what I'm saying, be the representation of some other people know world history or U.S. history better than I did.
And listen, man, I grew up probably maybe 20 minutes from Tappahannock. Like, I used to see in Mechanicsville area, if you go into the Walmart, for those people that are born and raised in Michigan, you know what I'm talking about, there's a sign that says Tappahannock that way. So that's the only reference point I had it. I had never been there. I didn't know how far away it is, but I knew in Mechanicsville there's a sign that says Tappahannock. Oh, it must be close. But okay. So yeah, don't feel bad about that. I as a Virginian, I don't take that personally. I'm just, yeah.
But I will tell y'all one thing: the first beat that I ever beatboxed or did on the hand pen on the table was boom, 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 boom. That was the one, and so it's dope, man. Virginia's always been a dope place.
But yeah, Mundane. Who from Virginia inspired you?
Well, personally, number one got to be like Pharrell. I literally got an angel tatted on my neck, just to, resemble that too, because you're a big fan of him. But honestly, I mean, I'm from Woodbridge, so I don't know if you guys know about Shabuzi or Tommy Richmond. They're from Virginia, and we actually all like grew up in the same area. So it's like, for example, seeing Shabuzi killing it Nigerian in the country scene, and then we got Tommy killing it in the pop R&B space. So I was like, okay, well, I'm Asian American. Let me try to see what I could do with this rap hip hop stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, so far, yeah, I have a lot of influences, like, Timbaland, all that, but I think those three definitely, to me.
That's dope. That's dope. So last question for each of you. What advice do you have for the next generation of Asian Americans that want to get into hip hop?
Like this one a lot. So I think we need to break down like the norm, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like me, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm making music. I ain't finished college. I'm tatted up. My mom probably wants me to be a doctor, probably want me to go to the military, right? But I chose rapping instead. And I think it's just the idea of like, just do what you want. There's no meters to success, or there's no cookie cutter way to do this. We're all figuring things out. And if you like it, just do it. If it feels good, why not, right? Yeah, that's what I think.
If I was to tell an Asian American, who's aspiring to get into music or just art in general, I tell them the same thing. I tell anybody, which is that, nothing beats a failure but a try. Before I got into music, I had a 10-year career in politics. Before that, I played college football. Before that, I went to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, and but almost 12 years later, you know what I'm saying? I've got 3 degrees, and it all came from trying. And I just kept trying stuff, and I believe in getting the most out of life. You know what I mean? I believe in not being one thing, but everything that I want to be. I set my life up, or I'm trying to set my life up to do more things that I want to do every day and less things that I don't want to do every day. And if I can continue to push forward, maybe eventually I'll be only doing things I want to do and nothing of what I don't want to do. So keep trying.
That's dope. Appreciate that. So I'm super thankful to have both of y'all join us tonight. I mean, obviously, me and MG have known each other for a little while, but we just got connected with Mundane, and it's very important to us to have someone like Mundane part of this because of the generation piece of it, but also we are really intentional about doing whatever we can to really connect the different parts of Virginia. So him being in Woodbridge, we want to make sure he feels embraced so he gets part of Virginia, doesn't get caught up in the DMV. He gets to be focused on the V. He doesn't have to get caught up in the DC everything, which is cool. Like, we don't want to feel like he has to choose, but we want people like him to feel connected to what the 804 is doing, what the 757 is doing, because it's all Virginia and we all want to win together. So let's hear it for MG and Mundane.